Authenticity host, and a warm welcome to Radio Works World. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you, Marina, for having me back again. And I want to thank you for being a catalyst in my journey and so many of the other hosts as well. How are you today?
I'm so excited to be here. It's your show. Actually, I'm I feel welcome. It's your show. So thank you for having me. Over to you, Mareli.
Okay. Well, let's get started before the connection might go. So last week I talked about external elements that can help you be victorious on your journey to authenticity, like a support system, and we talked about positive affirmations and things like that. But there are actually so many aspects still left to be discussed about authenticity and so many characteristics that an authentic person has. So I wanted to structure it in a way that's practical and easy to remember. And I'm also a visual person, so and I like to simplify things. So I decided to use the. If you look at the human body, use I decided to use that and to correlate it to go about it in that way. Use it as a checklist. Start from head and go down to your feet. So um, the main goal is I want the listeners to when they go through their day or when they are in a situation, I want them to use that checklist and think. I'll go into more detail now, but think about there. Start at the head. Think, what am I thinking? What's going on in my head? Going down to your heart. What am I feeling? Yeah, that's just an example. But today I want to start with the mind. And actually, before I start with the mind, I want to start with the head. um, where am I? So before I start with the head, if you look at it, authentic person is a whole person. Whole and not perfect. There's nothing, perfection doesn't exist in my books. And this is also very important in relationships to be whole. I believe relationships should be the joining of two whole people and not two wholes. And if you're not whole in yourself, you will always be looking for happiness outside and in other places, in other people, and seeking that always. And I believe that's also how people, we all have people in our lives that we feel a bit draining, and I think it's because they're not content in themselves. They still have things to work through, and now they're looking for happiness and validation from other people, and where it actually should start in yourself. And I believe contentment is a combination of peace and happiness. And yeah, like I said, it should be influenced from the inside and not from the outside. Your happiness and your contentment should come from the inside. Uh, I believe as well, if even if you should, sorry, um, I believe that you should strive to be better and you should think about the future, but you should also be content with where you are at the moment, and know that everything will not be perfect. There's nothing like that. And
So
believe,
what I think, Mareli,
yeah,
I so love what you said because I always been you know it's as if you touch a very sensitive point there. I always struggled to understand why people feel that they are not good enough. And I look at them and I see how awesome they are. I'm thinking, what on earth are they talking about? Can't they see what I see? But I think they
mm,
can't because they look outside into the world, like into a window, instead of taking a mirror and looking at themselves and looking inside. Because that's the whole purpose of life, to look inside and discover who you are and then become a window. But what society is teaching us to do, or in a way not forcing but conditioning us to be, is go to the window, look outside and see what other people do and be like them. And I think that's totally wrong, because in effect, unless you go in front of the mirror, like, once a day or 20 times a day, as many times as you feel the need for a solution, you already have it. Go to the mirror, look at yourself, look inside, deep inside, and it's there already. Over to you, Marley.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to say
Yeah.
this.
No, this is so true. And it's actually so sad how we are conditioned by the media and magazines and everything that we feel like to belong and to be valued, we need to look this way or do this, or so we are actually conditioned to our whole lives to look at other people and to look at successful people, and it's good to learn from them, obviously, but you cannot be someone else. You will never succeed by trying to be someone else. And yeah, it's exactly true what you said. Um, so another point, actually, before I get to the mind, is the head. Uh, I believe an authentic person keeps their head high no matter how difficult life is, because they know that whatever obstacles they are facing now, whatever difficult circumstances they are in, it's not permanent, and you don't need to accept it. Whatever it is, it's your choice what you do with what's happening to you. Sometimes you can't control things coming your way, but you're in control of your mind. You can decide, am I going to take this in my stride, and this is going to be part of my story, and I'm going to make the best of it, or I'm going to learn something from this, or you can decide, we just always, it's the easiest way to do nothing and just feel sorry for yourself because this is happening to you, and why me, and all of those things. So
When in effect, actually, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. So
yes,
you start looking inside, because you realize after a while, keep looking for solution outside yourself, you realize there are no solutions. So eventually, when you reach, the rock, you realize it's happening for you, and you should be so grateful that it's happening for you. It's not to you, it's never to you, it's always for you.
yes, and that's why you're so authentic as well. It's so true. Um, okay, so and on top of your head, you can wear a crown as well. Um, every morning when
Wow,
you
I
wake,
love that. Wow, imagine that.
every
Wow.
morning when you wake up, you can decide. You can even wear more than one. You can decide, this is who I am. This is how I want people to see me. Because a big truth that I've realized in my life is that you teach people how they treat you. If you don't believe in yourself, even if you just say it in your head and you think, I'm not worthy of this, or I'm not as good as that person, I'm not worthy to, to talk to someone, or then you reflect that without you knowing that subconsciously you reflect that to people, and people will treat you like that because they think it's acceptable.
Yeah, because you
So
mirror it. You mirror it. So I so love what you
yes,
said. Let's go back to this for a moment, because I think this is massive. This is like another eureka moment for me. So you teach people how they treat you. So you
yes,
meant you mirror, they will mirror your self-esteem, your authenticity, your courage, your whatever it is that you show and you allow to come out. This is what you they will react to your own image.
yes, exactly.
Wow.
Or
You
if
teach
you,
people, let's say this again. You teach people how they treat you. Oh my God.
yes,
This is massive,
and that's
Marley.
also where you need to be strong in yourself, because if you allow people to disrespect you, even in relationships as well, or in business, if you allow people to disrespect you and say nothing, they think it's acceptable. They think you know. what is you need to know what you're worth, and if it's worth for you that people treat you that way or not. If yeah.
Wow, this is very profound. Wow, Mareli, how do you know all this? I love it.
I
Yes,
don't know.
don't mind me. Just carry on, please.
So, so I also want to say, just to combine those two, you need to hold your head high, because if you look down, you're crowned.
Wow. That's oh my God, that's very visual. That's like right in front of you, right in your face. Keep your head up, or keep your head high, or just lose everything. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Now to actually get to the mind of an authentic person. Um, so I just brainstormed a lot. And okay,
Works.
authentic
Whatever you do, keep
person
doing it.
doesn't.
Works.
So authentic person doesn't think they are better than anyone else. Obviously, that is humility, and humility for me is being so confident, so secure in yourself that you, even when you have the right, all the right in the world to brag about all your accomplishments and what your success is, you still don't do it because you know that your accomplishments doesn't define you. What it defines you is that only defines what you do. That doesn't define who you are. Doesn't
Wow.
make sense.
Total sense. You see, Marley, I love you. I love you totally. So you see, when people go on stage and they start saying, "Oh, why I'm talking to you about this? How who I am to teach you?" That's wrong. That that makes you feel that, oh, I can't be like him because you already achieve all these earthy goals, and
Yes,
what he do is no way I will ever do because I'm so way behind. So I think is where that connection breaks for good, because you look at these people, they come in front of you, they teach you, and then it's as if you don't stand the chance unless you buy my expensive program. You'll be always there and I'm here, so I'm thinking this is
yes,
so wrong. you know Humility never hurt anyone, and talking about what defines you, who you are, it's so much more powerful than what you hold, what you have. Who cares about what you have? You could lose that. Could be an earthquake, could be a recession, could be anything, and you lose all of that. So what are you left is what defines you. What
yes,
are you made of? Something that nobody can take away from you. This is who you are. And that's why I feel that, oh my God, there's so much to learn from you, Mareli, because you already got that. And I know people who I'm telling you, it's incredible. They have 3 times your age, and they never understood that. They could never understand that because of their social conditioning. I
oh
love this.
yes.
I absolutely love it, Marily.
Thank you.
Wow.
And like you said, that's very true. People need to relate to you. Like you said, otherwise they will be discouraged, I think, instead of being motivated.
Yeah, you
Um,
look down on somebody only to lift them up. You don't look on anyone to look down on them. That's ridiculous. We're all the same. No one is any better than anyone. It's just how you choose to take guidance, where you choose to take guidance from, and how you choose to use your divine essence, or ignore it. That's all there is.
yes.
I'm very
And
passionate about this. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. But I know we've all seen how that humility is one of the most difficult things, I think, to keep as you gain more success and you climb the success ladder. That is one of the most difficult things to keep, just to stay humble. And I think that's where most of the people fail, because they get such big egos, and they get full of pride because everything they've done. But I think one aspect of a humble person is also that yes, they have all their successes, but they also know that they had people helping them all the way. They didn't do anything or everything on their own. They remember the people that helped them get there. And they understand that every person has a different journey. It's not all the same. People or in different phases of their journeys. Some maybe didn't even start their journey. So, like you said, you can't look down on them or think you're better than them just because you're not at the same place. And anyway, each journey is unique, so you cannot compare it to one another. But yeah, so instead, you should help others on their journey, help them get to where they need to be, and help them develop their talent and their destiny.
And sometimes, Mari, don't you think that just takes one word from one person for you to start looking at life in a different way and start thinking, you know what? I own my life. It's up to me what I do next. Forget what happened in the past. The past is not your destiny. It's not something that could define you. And this is how much it
Yeah.
takes for a person to understand their true worth and start going north instead of south and start imagining themselves with that crown on their head. This is so powerful, Mari. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Go on, please don't stop.
Okay. Um, then another aspect of the authentic mind is authentic person controls everything. They have a filter, imaginary filter in their minds. They control, like I said earlier as well, what goes in and what goes out. If someone directs a negative remark towards you, or even your own negative thoughts, they authentic person has the ability to control that and control what can stay in my mind and what should I get rid of, and if it's valid or not. And that's also, like I said earlier, if you know yourself and someone says something about you, you should be able to think, okay, is this relevant? Is this true about me? Yes or no? And you hopefully you choose to discard it. Or sometimes you it can help you. Maybe it's something that you didn't see or you didn't realize you do. Like it reminds me at one event, I had a person come up to me and he told me, I can see that people really want to talk to you and people are drawn towards you, but sometimes you don't see the people around you. And that's also because I focus on the person I'm talking to. But so that could have been something negative, but then I realized I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't so I took that, and from then on I focused on, looking around me as well, being aware what's going on around me and of people around me. So don't always, when something sounds negative, just deflect it and think no. But if you know yourself, you will know what is worthy to keep and what is not, because like we said earlier as well, that thoughts, the smallest thought in your head can grow in your life. It's like seeds planted in your life, and some of them will grow if you let it stay rent free, like some people say, in your brain. And another thing, I've read and heard a lot about studies. I'm not a scientist or a biologist, but I know there are a lot of studies that showed that positive thoughts form different neuron pathways in your brain than negative thoughts. And to to change a negative in your head, you need to replace it with a positive neuron pathway, and that's very difficult. That's where habit comes in. It's not it's not as easy as just replacing one positive thought with one negative thought, because it's pathways that actually literally physically grows in your brain. Um, that's just something interesting. And yeah, so a authentic person is very aware of that, and they have a positive mindset. They are more tended, they tend to think more positively about situations than negatively, and to see what they can learn from it, what they can learn from the experience. And then, is there something you want to say?
Wow,
So there.
I'm taking so many notes. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is making total sense. And I hope our listeners have a notepad and a pen and piece of paper, something to write down. This is amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now
Thank
there's
you.
nothing I want to say. Please carry on.
Okay. Um, okay, another thing is authentic person is present. Uh, Although they are present, and I'll elaborate more, they think about the future. So with present, I mean when you're talking to someone, to not be on your phone or to be distracted, but to really focus on that person and what they're saying, and really be interested in that. That alone can change someone's life. If someone, sometimes at a networking event, you have people coming up to you with a story they have, and if someone just give them the attention and listen to them, will make them feel worthy, and that can motivate them in itself. But and it's so difficult these days. We are so busy, and all of us have seen when we go to a restaurant, even families or two people on a date or a married couple with on their anniversary, they are busy on their phones, or taking phone call here and there, or both are sitting scrolling on Facebook, and that's a very negative thing, I think, for the age we're living in, and we all have to multitask. But I think it's very, very important to, even with
Mareli,
yeah.
at the beginning of this year, I went to see 007, the latest. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of 007,
Oh yes.
and I can't miss anything, of course. So I went to see the movie, and after the movie, I was hungry because it was quite late. So I just went right outside the cinema, and I ordered some food, and next to me, it was a couple. But it was a very crowded place. So it was a couple, and I couldn't help it. Of course, I hear that they speak nothing during their meal. So everybody was looking at their phone, and I felt a bit sad for them because I was by myself and I was still having a conversation with myself. Anyway, so the waiter come, and he said, "Oh, let me take care of this. After all, it's our first date." And oh,
Oh.
that's so nice of you, she said. So what you said is your name? So it was their first
Oh
date. She had no
no.
idea what his name was. Perhaps he didn't either. And there were two people trying to get together, to get to know each other, and yet they only ate and exchanged no words, not at all, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Oh my word.
And how sad is that? How sad is that? I was like in disbelief. I was like shaking my head by myself, thinking, what's wrong with this world? But then, what's wrong with the world? Like Tom Barber, I don't know if you met the um, the mind coach we have already at World, and he brought
Yeah.
a paragraph from Alice in Wonderland, and she said, "What's wrong with the world is that everybody is expecting a miracle, but nobody believes in miracles." Or something,
Wow.
so something similar. So it's really, really um, it's really, really hard for me to accept that people have the chance to be in front of each other. Personally, I won't go on a date with some total stranger. So I'm not that courageous. It's not, it's not courage. It's, I don't know. I think I have better things to do with my life. But anyway, so, but to go on a first date, have somebody in front of you, a real person for a change, and still looking to their stupid phone, and not knowing what their name is. And I don't know, what's that? How do you call that? And you touch a point, there is like, oh my God. Um, wow. So my hat off for what you said, and phones off. That's it. That's the rule.
Yeah.
You have to make your own rules because apparently society doesn't know what's what anymore. Over to you, Mareli.
Very true. Wow, it's so sad. But I hope they were texting each other on their phones.
That won't surprise me either.
But while you were telling the story, I was actually thinking it's when you act like that, it's actually selfish because you're not at all focused on the other person or how they are or what's going on in their life. You're just focused on yourself and what you're busy with and your friends on Facebook. Or so it's actually very selfish if you
I
think
think
about it.
no, I think it's almost like an excuse. You are afraid of living the moment,
Oh, that
and you
yeah.
find an excuse, any excuse. Even Facebook is a good excuse, you know. So
Yeah, that's
over to you,
also
Marley.
true. Yeah, that's also true. Um, yeah, so focus on being present and then, but you need to know, obviously you cannot be present in everything. Some things doesn't need your attention that much, but people are always important. And and although, like I said, although authentic person is present in the moment, they think about the future and they are big dreamers usually. Yeah, saying to other people or normal people, and authentic person constantly thinks about how they can become a better person than they were yesterday. Um, so, like we, yeah, like we talked earlier about comparing ourselves to others. So it's very important to compare yourself to yourself, actually. Your how you were yesterday, and to make sure that you constantly improve and that you keep pushing that comfort zone because you are your own competition. We are all on our own journey. Nobody's journey is the same. Even, there are a lot of speakers and entrepreneurs, and yeah, but it's the same title, but it's totally different. Each journey is still different. And you should remember that as well. The last point for today is authentic people not only focus on their own agendas, but also on others' needs and think about ways they can help others as well. And that's what you do so well.
Thank you.
so, so
But
don't
I
be.
couldn't do it without you, Marley. So really, it's our team of farmers because we plant the seeds of greatness. So what
Yes,
those seeds are growing or not is not up to us. But we are coming here all the time, constantly planting new seeds. So
yeah,
for you to be a
definitely.
whole, for you to wear your crown, for you to rent free your mind and put great thoughts, for you to learn humility and the art of being present and competing and learning that you could be the champion of your own life. You could be constantly winning every single battle. You don't need to win the war because life is a war, but you could really win every single battle each day by competing against yourself. And sometimes I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, it's nothing. It's nobody. It's like running. Many times in my life, I thought that I was running all by myself, and I got to be there second. How is that even possible? You know. so so running on that track, keep your life on track, keep your dreams on track, because you are only competing against your own limitations. There's nobody like you. You are the one and only.
Yes, exactly. I love it.
Oh, I so love this conversations with you, Marley, because you see, you are just saying everything I thought about all my life, and some of the topics I put in my book in a different way, of course, but it's so beautiful on when that little things I couldn't figure out, and somebody's coming with that, you know, and that's like eureka!
I'm
Thank
glad.
you so much. Thank you.
Uh, I'm glad if you can take something from our
Oh, I
conversation.
take everything. Trust me. I take it and wear it and feel it and experience it. And I know our
Thank you.
listeners do too. And we are very, very grateful for being in your show and listening to you and learning from you week in, week out. And hopefully, we'll publish the book together, The Simple Truth about authenticity. Great conversations with Mareli Scott. And this is breaking
Yes.
news. And I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
Thank you so much, Marily. What is the key message today?
Um, this week, I want to the listeners just to focus on like what we talked about today. Um, Imagine you're wearing a crown every morning. Decide what crown that is, and don't let anybody steal that crown of yours. Um, focus on what's going on in your mind, what you are putting into your mind, um, because that's the engine of your whole body and your whole being. So you need to focus on that. And what was the other thing? Head. Yeah, keep your head up, or your crown might fall off.
Live up and lit up with Marily Scott. From both of us, until next time, it's goodbye.
Bye bye.